the thing is, you cannot take long to make decisions, because if you take long to take a decision, that's also a decision.
Our featured speaker today is the founder and CEO of Resultam and Tag House, a passionate front-end developer, web designer, and business and marketing manager, driven by the vision of changing lives around the globe for the better. Daniel, it's such a pleasure to have you as our featured guest today. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey with us.
Thanks, Nancy, for bringing us here to talk about this stuff. The first thing that I always say, like when I learned so early how to create websites and program, it wasn't because I was brilliant or because I was someone that really like got technology and thought that it was easy or something like that. I mean, I wish I could say that, but actually, I'm just only curious, really. Like it's just a curiosity. So the thing is, I always thought about who's on the other side of the screen. Like when I watched television, it didn't really matter like what was going on television. I was like just all the time asking myself, how do they do that? How is they're planning this? How they like create the script or how they film it, how they broadcast, and all these things. So the only reason that I learned how to program at an early age is just because I was curious about internet. And it was really like, I think it's when I was 12, it was like 2002. So it was like really, yeah, the early 2000s, and the internet was really a big thing. Not that it's not a big thing now, but it was like a thing that everybody said on the media, and everyone wanted to know about it. And I really wanted to try it out and to understand and to start. And things were so much simpler, like it was so much more simpler than it's now. I mean, for you to develop something now, it's so much more complex because of all the devices, all the kind of screens that you have different sizes, like you have to develop for mobile phones and for computers. So it was so much more simpler because you have like one screen resolution, you have like one language that was used mainly, like that was the first HTML. It wasn't like HTML5 or this new technologies. So I was really curious, and that's why I learned so early. And the other thing is that helped me so much because I always like had something else to offer when I was in a job interview or even like on college applications and this stuff, because I really actually and for me it wasn't like something really boring. And we were talking about gaming earlier. It was just like playing a game. You do you do the development part, and that becomes something. You create something from nothing. So the great thing about knowing this stuff is that it's really rewarding on the sense that you're creating something. So for me, what helped me is that I could like start working with web design as early as possible. I mean, I was like 18, and my first job as a web designer. And as I said before, the thing is that I wasn't really. I love technology, of course, but I wasn't really the technology guy. I was the guy that was curious. So that's why I studied advertising. I didn't study. I thought about studying IT, and then I changed my mind because I said no. I don't want to be stuck to only a field. I want to learn more about other stuff. So that's when I study advertising. I work on television, so I saw everything. I saw how they do the news. I saw how they research it, how they script it, how they record, how they broadcast, all these things. I was always curious, and I think that's what helped me with my career, and not the fact that I learned how to program early. It could be different stuff. And also, like, I used to play with Photoshop and Flash and Dreamweaver, all these tools that I wanted to get familiar with. And when just as I started college and started learning the basics about advertising, I already know how to work with the tools. So I think the main thing about how this impacted my career, it was not the what I learned, but the fact that I learned something else. Because what everybody learns at school, it's what everybody does. So you just the you're the same. It's not that I say that I'm better than anyone, but I mean anyone could study something that helps them, and it doesn't need to be like a chore. You can be curious, and get interest about that. If you like books, if you like reading, if you like cinema, you can learn things. You can learn how to write a book. You can learn how to shoot videos and be a director, and that will help you on the long run. So I think I don't know. That's the advice I would give, like, for my kids or younger people, because that's what helped me most. It's not the fact that I learned programming. It's the fact that I learned something before my competitors and the other people that were like uh, trying to get the same opportunities that I wanted. I was a step ahead because of that. So I think that's how it changed for me, and that's why I started my company. I was an advertiser, but I knew how to create website and to program. And when I started, it was like 10 years ago. So when you know how to create a website 10 years ago, it's just like you're if you know how to create mobile apps now. So it was really a new thing. A lot of companies didn't have a website. So I think that's what helped me most, was the fact that I was really curious and learned something before everyone else wasn't interested in that. So I was kind of lucky, actually.
Thank you very much, Daniel. That's quite a detailed answer, and I appreciate that. I think being curious about what you're working on and interested in it is such a powerful thing for helping you sort of learn about it. Now, I wanted to ask you, you've moved through quite a number of different roles, from freelancer to marketing analyst to founder. I was wondering, how easy did you find these transitions? And can you tell us about what things in particular have contributed to your ability to adapt?
One of the things that I think helped me to adapt is that I lived with uncertainty my entire life, because my parents they had a small business. We had difficult times, and also good times. So I wasn't like really used to certainty. And so growing up in this kind of uncertainty helped me to be more free with my decisions. Because what I thought, like, the first time I got my first job, the first thing I thought, it was like, I'm qualified enough not to worry about finding another job. So especially in Brazil, because here technology, it's really booming all the time since long times ago, like since my mom was working. And we don't have as much. Of course, that's a global thing, that we don't have enough qualified people to work with programming and with this kind of stuff. And especially in Brazil, we do not have a very good school system. And also, like, a lot of people that are qualified in other, as an emerging economy, you have opportunities in different levels of things that are not really established. And then in other countries, they're already established. So people tend to study, like, engineering or architecture, this kind of fields that they are already established in other countries, but here is like growing. But technology grows much more faster. So what made me and it still makes me uh, feel more comfortable on these changes, is that if everything don't work out, like really, if my company fails, if I lose a job, if I have to change, and I'm not worried because I qualified myself enough so I can find a job right away. If I go into debt, my company it's out of business, and I'm bankrupt, I still have in my mind the skills that I need to find a new job. So I think that the thing that makes it easy is that still, if I don't work with programming, I can work as a designer. I create user interface in Adobe XD all the time, and I help all my employees with different fields, and it's amazing when you have like different kind of backgrounds, and you can work with your team, and you actually know how to do stuff. So the thing is, what makes me really comfortable with all the changes is that I'm always studying, I'm always researching, I'm always like qualifying myself, so I don't have to worry about that. They say like, oh, you have to make investments, you have to save money. No, you have to invest in yourself, because you're never going to be, only if you hit your head really hard and you forget about everything you know, that's the risk you have. But if you have the skills and the mindset, you won't worry about changing jobs, about creating a company, because there's always going to be an opportunity for you. And that's what I think. It's not just about networking, it's about really having the skills. And because networking itself, it doesn't make everything. And that was the only thing that makes me comfortable, actually.
I love that you're talking about, investing in yourself first, always learning. And honestly, I feel like mindset is just such a key component to everything we do. And it sounds like you continue to work to cultivate that for yourself. And I greatly respect that. So I was wondering what prompted you to apply for boot camp and what expectations did you have for that experience?
I had like the thing is, I had a really crazy experience in my career, because as you guys just mentioned, is this thing about changing positions and jobs and working with different fields made me really, yeah, I got really anxious with a lot of stuff, and I started working as a marketing manager on my friend's company. It was a fashion company. It was really I enjoyed working there. It was different. I went to photo shootings to see our company doing the catwalks stuff. So it was pretty awesome. The thing is that by the time I was like, okay, I'm working with marketing, I'm working with fashion, and it's pretty cool. But I want to still be relevant on the field of programming and designing and stuff. So I started a course at Udacity, and I was one of the first Brazilian students there. And luckily, in 2016, these guys called me and made an interview. They were doing some kind of focus group about the international students. And Udacity is an American institution, so they wanted us to give them insights and information about what we thought they had to do to be successful in our country and all this stuff. So they were doing this focus group, and they had available a ticket for a Google I/O 2016, and we also would like visit the startup there, and we would be able to talk to them and all this stuff. So I went to Google in 2016. I was doing consulting, I was doing marketing, and I went there and I thought like I saw so many awesome stuff. They were launching Firebase, they were launching all this AI stuff. They presented for us like the self-driving car and so many stuff. I was like, whoa, what am I doing with my life? Like, okay, like not saying that marketing management it's not good, but I was there and I was like, dude, I know how to program, and they're doing so much awesome stuff, and I'm like sitting in my comfort zone in Brazil, and as soon as I got off this comfort zone, I went to United States. I went to this event. I learned so much that really like made me. I was so happy to be there. Like really, seriously. I they paid everything for me. It was perfect, and I was so happy to be there. But at the same time, I was in my I was a little bit depressed that I wasn't part of it. I was like a student, studying programming and updating my skills, but I wasn't part of this whole technological and this stuff. So I thought like I had to reinvent my business because it doesn't match me. It wasn't like something that really like made me. Um, I was thinking it's not scalable. Like marketing consulting is not scalable. I had to have a lot of people working with me to make consulting be a big thing, you know. And was thinking like, how could I work with that, and how could I create like something that would actually be scalable, be something big. And I went to São Paulo for the case event. It was like it is the biggest South American, Latin American event for startups. So we had like speech with big guys from Evernote, from Google, from Microsoft, from all these big companies from technology, and also a lot of startups. And then I went to IBM and talked to some guys there about Watson, and I wanted actually to create a AI for marketing analytics, so that the marketing consulting would be scalable because I don't need people. I need just the AI. I need people to develop that, and then I can replicate to different kind of companies and different kind of marketing campaigns and stuff. And then it was like in probably like in October or November, and then by the same time I saw the bootcamp. I already had took the course on I think it's EDX or Coursera. I don't remember. So I took the course online for MIT entrepreneurship, and then I received the email first, like in 2014, I think. But that time I thought it was too expensive, and I didn't have the interest to go there. But again, I was receiving the email for the next bootcamp, and it was the right time because I was like, I want to create this, but I don't know where to start. I had I had a company before, I had a startup before, but it failed, and I was like, I really I really have to have this experience to really not like I wanted to know people that are creating big stuff and working with stuff, and also like I knew that we would have um, speeches with people from uh, successful startups, from investment funds and this stuff, and also like talking to these guys at MIT. MIT is like a big thing for entrepreneurship. So I was like, yeah, I want to build something big, but we actually are not very good at creating this big stuff here in Brazil. So I have to go somewhere to learn that. And the bootcamp was the first thing that came up, and I think it was perfect for the time, and it was really good experience. So that's the let's say that's the story behind me applying to the bootcamp and applying Resultam as a startup.
Thank you so much. So I think it's interesting to hear the background behind how you sort of found out about the boot camp and what your motivations and everything were. But what I'd also be interested in is how the boot camp experience shaped your approach to your work, especially in reference to Resultam or other entrepreneurial work you've been working on.
I think it's the thing that it shaped most is that I have like the support of a community. I had the all these strategies behind it, and it's really more, let's say, I have more criteria to take decisions, and that's the best thing about it. Because my first business, I was just taking every opportunity that showed up, and that was what I did all the time. And I would I would like follow a path that wasn't chosen by me. That would be chosen by my clients, by the market, by what showed up. And I mean, it's like it was like really something weird to be an entrepreneur without a guidance. It was like something kind of experimental, and I think it was really frustrating actually. And I had a startup that I invested lots of money on Google and lost lots of money, and the clients wouldn't sign up for the product. It was a product that we thought that it would like really had a market. We made the research, but it wasn't a very good research. And the bootcamp um, actually gives you all that experience that I had to pay to see. You know, I had to lose money to live that. And like it took like a year for that to happen. And in the bootcamp, that happens in 1 week. And in 1 week, you pivot, you fight with your partners, and you make peace with them, and you launch a product. It's like in just a week. So for that to happen in real life, it takes about a year, and you're gonna lose real money. You're gonna lose real clients. And I think what shaped for me is the way I take decisions is so much different, and also the planning, the understanding that I have to follow the path I believe in, and that I study it, and that I know that is gonna be the path I want to do, not just the path that clients say and that the market say. Or because if you want to do something really innovative, you're gonna be not following the path that everyone takes. You gotta be, of course, you gotta be profitable, and that's something I look for, because my main my main source of revenue now, it's Resultam. It's been like that for 2 years now. And the challenge actually, it's with all this pandemic stuff, and we really have to work bootstrapping and having to work with not many resources. So I think the way the bootcamp helped me really was taking better decisions, understanding better how entrepreneurship works, and how it's different to have a small business than to have a startup. It's not the same thing. The way you take decisions, the way you have to wait a little bit more to get more revenue in the future than now, but you're pretty sure that you're gonna have a scalable product. You're gonna have a different approach to entrepreneurship. So that's one of the things that really made me choose working, like applying to bootcamp. It's exactly what I got. That is like making better decisions, working better with entrepreneurship, because you don't have, even if I went to college, you learn a little bit about managing a business, but you don't learn about entrepreneurship. It's really hard to find resources, like really reliable resources about entrepreneurship, that don't want to just sell you something, that really want to teach you something. And that's the experience that I got, and I think it was really exactly what I expected. And it's exactly what is making a true difference in the way I manage my business now, and the way I am an entrepreneur now. So that's a new vision, a new way to work with entrepreneurship.
Daniel, we have a question from one of our listeners that I'd like to read for you. When it's your own startup, it seems like every decision is really important. I wondered if you had come across a decision where you're being so careful that you realize you're actually not moving. I was wondering if you could tell us how you overcame such situations.
That's actually a very good question, and I think it's as my second business, I had the luxury to make these mistakes on my first company and not on this one. The thing is, you cannot take long to make decisions, because if you take long to take a decision, that's also a decision. Like, okay, I'm gonna procrastinate. I'm gonna. Oh, it's a too hard. Sometimes it's a very hard decision you have to make, and it's easy to procrastinate, to say, okay, I'm tomorrow I think about it, or to think like, let's get the this decision is too important. I'm gonna make a meeting with my team. I'm gonna research first. The thing is, what I think now about decisions is that sometimes you have to actually try out some stuff, and some decisions, they are important, but the thing is that sometimes you have to, we have expression in Brazil, it's you have to pay to see. So sometimes you have to risk, and that's entrepreneurship is risk. So you have, of course, you have to manage the risk, but sometimes you gotta try out some stuff. Like, you gotta. I had a problem with pricing. Brazilian market is really aggressive with pricing. Everyone has someone that's gonna make something cheaper for them. And I took the decision that I wouldn't comply with that, because we had different level of service, and so I had to take this decision, and I had to really tell my clients, okay, I'm not gonna make a discount for you. I'm not gonna do what you want, and I had to do that. I had to do that to see what happens, because if you think too much about it, and you say no, I'm gonna ask someone. I'm gonna. Sometimes you have to do it, try it out. If it doesn't work, you can change again. But if you do not change, or if you follow others, it's going to be worse, because your business don't it doesn't have your decisions. So that's why I think that sometimes decisions, and it's very common. Like, even my clients, sometimes I see they taking too long to make a decision, and I say, you're making a decision of not making the decision, and this is not good at all, because somebody is going to make that decision for you. It's either your client, your employees, or your stakeholders. Somebody's going to do that for you, and they might boycott your business. They might put pressure on you. So the good thing about taking decisions, it's really like not being afraid of them, because if you're afraid of them, they're going to take the decision's gonna take you, and not you will be taking the decision. So I think that it's really challenging for any entrepreneur to make decisions, and there's good books on this that may help. But the only advice that I can give is that um, you have to make them, and that's the boring part of having a company. Uh, but as long as you take them, you take control, and you can measure, you can see what's happening, and you can feel it, and you can measure it, and then you're gonna be taking better decisions, because the experience after I've been owning a business for more than 10 years now. So I had the opportunity of not taking decisions, and seeing what happens, and then taking these decisions and making them, and being really, let's say, having the audacity of taking them quickly. So I think it's really a matter of experience it, and after like exercising that every day, it's gonna be much easier and easier. It's just a matter of really like taking risks. That's the biggest thing about decisions, I think.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm so glad to be here with you and to see you, Daniel, on here. We have been talked for some time now, and I have a few questions. One of those are: is there a specific skill set to be a web developer? Because I tried at the beginning of the quarantine here in my place, and no way, I kind of lost interest on that. And also, based on your experience, where is the technology industry going in Brazil? What things could be done for improving that industry in Brazil and or in Latin America?
Great. It's a pleasure, Carlos, to talk to you once more. I know that we've been talking a lot, like in the quarantine, but it's been like a few weeks that we don't talk, uh, like really have a conversation. So it's a pleasure to answer your questions. And well, the thing is about being a web developer, I wouldn't start as being the developer. You can start just with the front end and creating simple, really simple stuff. The thing is, it's everything that they tell about entrepreneurship. It's actually about anything you do in life. So they say, oh, you have to start small and then go big. Okay, that's for everything you do. You never start big in anything. I mean, it's like, okay, you think you're gonna be born and start walking. You got to grow up and you got to start from the scratch, and you have to improve in everything you do in life. So it's not just entrepreneurship. So uh, learning a new skill, like being a web developer, say, uh, of course, the first thing when I was starting, I thought like, oh, I want to build a portal, a news portal, just like Yahoo, or a search engine like Google, or a mail service like Yahoo Mail. So that's something that I had in my mind. So I wanted to learn and know like, how is it possible to create something like big like that? And the thing is, I didn't start like working with, uh, like trying to understand how to create these big things. I had to start with the small things, like how I create the first structure for a page. How do I embed an image to a website? So it was like really baby steps, and trying to understand that. And the good thing about it, because I I I read about it, and that's one of the things that I take to my life, is that anyone can do anything. You just have to have the same knowledge base, like the background. So how do you build that background? That's the question you have to make. Like, how do I build a background for me to be a web developer? It's not just like, okay, I'm going to start being a web developer. So it's pretty boring. And I really I talked with Spencer and Nancy the other day, and I'm not a big fan of programming. It's not that I don't find it interesting. I find it very interesting. I love programming in the sense of I love learning it and understanding how it works, but I don't really love being a professional programmer and work full time with programming. So as a person that learn, and I talked to Nancy and Spencer, and it's not the career that I pursued. I wanted to be an advertiser. I wanted to work with television and different stuff. And the thing is, was I was good at it, and I learned really quickly. But it wasn't because I was brilliant or because I was like someone special. It's because I had the background to learn complex stuff. So you start learning small. You're gonna learn like first thing. You're not gonna learn um, how to create the JavaScript. That's the last part you're gonna learn. Like you're gonna make it interactive. First, you're gonna learn how to really write the basics, like heading, paragraph, division, section, a menu, and then you're gonna learn how to link a page to another, and then you start putting images on that, and then you start putting the CSS. And that's how I learned. And the thing is, in the beginning is really hard, and the only advice that I think it's going to be something that will speed up your learning is that if you put a project or an objective in your mind. So okay, I'm gonna learn. Why am I learning? I learning web development? It's just because it's something that it's out there and it has a lot of opportunities, or it's because I really want to build something. So if you put in your mind, okay, I'm gonna build a website about this subject. It could be any subject. My first experience as a web developer was that I really wanted to create a website for the band that I liked at the time, and I, with that in mind, I was like, okay, I want to create this website about this specific subject. How do I start? And then, okay, now I wanted to put some downloads page. So how I'm gonna be able to create that? And then it's a different way to learn. It's not just like sitting in front of a screen and uh, watching classes and trying to do the exercises. You actually have objective. So you have a motivation. So the one thing that makes us learn, like it's just like when I say like I learned programming, and for me it was just like a video game, very hard video game to play, because I had an objective. I had a goal. Just like you want to win in the game, you want to create something. You had the objective, so then you learn. That's how human nature works. We work like that. Our brain works like that. So you have to have a motivation. We always like when we work, we create companies, we go to our job. We have a motivation. We have maybe a financial motivation, but even the financial motivation is always like you think that you're gonna earn money and you're gonna be happy. So the motivation, you got to think about it. Okay, I want to create a project because I'll be happy with that project. So for that project to be real, I have to learn programming. So that's how it happened to me. The most things I learned about development was really uh, either selling the idea for a client, either doing something for me. So let's say the first real life project that I made money off was a website for video games. And it was really small in the beginning. I had like 50 people accessing my website, 50 visitors per day. And when I was on the highest, I had 3,000 visitors per day. And I would earn money with AdSense. And I was like programming this website, creating the content for this website. And I learned how to write better. I learned how to support the people that went to the website. I learned how to set up a gaming server. I learned how to set up a web server. I learned how to program the web. It's not because I love programming. I think it's kind of boring. But the thing is, it's necessary to create things I want. So I want to create my startup, and the thing, of course, I have a team of 5 people working with me. They can help me with anything that I find boring. But the thing is, I had to learn those things to start. And I got good at it and started, and then they can like actually follow and complete the development of the things I start, and I can help them to achieve their goals and to tell them what they have to do. How can they do that? Because I know how to program. I don't need to program all the time. I don't need to love programming to work with programming or to learn it. I just have to have an objective. So with everything in life, and what I think, the things I studied about learning, about uh, achieving goals is that if you don't have a motivation, you're not going to learn. It's not just web design, it's anything. So if you have a true objective in your mind, your mindset, you have like, oh, I want to build a website, I want to build a company, you learn. One of the things I told to my partner, I was pitching this iPhone and Android app for a client. And he looked to me and said, Daniel, we have no idea how to build a mobile app. And I looked to him and say, let's sell it first, then we learn. And now we're really comfortable on developing mobile apps. So the thing is, if we hadn't had the opportunity to sell this product for the client, we are programmers. We can learn. It's not the entire different world to develop a website or a web app and develop an Android and iPhone app. The base that we need to have is the same. The background that we needed is the same. We just had to learn this new skill. So we had the motivation. The client was paying us to develop that, and we had to learn, and we learned. That's the thing. Like, if you don't have an objective, if you don't have a motivation, and it's not just a motivation like assumption like the market, or it had to be a personal motivation for you to learn how to do that. So that's the only advice that I can give you about learning like web development, and about like the skill set basic. You just need to know how to copy and paste, to create a folder on your computer, and that's it. The rest you can learn really from zero to hero. You just have to start from zero. You cannot just go and try to create something big in the first time you work with that. So I think that's like the answer for your first question that I can give. And for the second question, the technology industry in Brazil, we have a big market here. We're a big country. We 200 million people. One of the largest economies. I think it's the largest economy in South America, and it was once like one of the biggest economies in the world. We have a market here, of course, but also the thing about with the pandemic, with COVID, with let's say bad government decisions, our currency is now getting weaker. So we have a market here. We have a growing market here for technology. We have a lot of startups. We have investment, but also we have the opportunity for outsourcing for other countries that it's not explored now, and I think it can be explored. The thing about outsourcing is that it's mainly concentrated on China and India and maybe Bangladesh or different countries on Asia, and there's a lot of opportunities there, and I respect their work. It's a very good job. They do a very good job with that. But also we have um, South America. It's so close to United States, to Europe. We have very similar culture. We have um, time zones are not that far as if you compare like with China or with Japan or other countries on Asia that do outsourcing for the United States or for Europe. So for Brazil and for South American technology market, I think we had a lot of opportunities of outsourcing. So it's one of the things that are not very well explored now. With the exchange rates, we can have, of course, we cannot compete with India that have a different kind of exchange rate and other countries, but we can compete with Europe, we can compete with the United States on outsourcing because we have, it's weird to say that, but like with weaker currencies, Brazil used to have a very strong currency, so it was hard to outsource services because we weren't competitive enough, maybe not qualified enough to be competitive on the same price range, but with a weaker currency. And that's because of the pandemic crisis, because of the COVID-19 and stuff. So we have this opportunity of taking this terrible thing that happened to our economies, to our countries with COVID and all these problems that we have, making the currency weaker. It's not that bad because if we're innovative enough and qualified for that, we can really outsource business at a good pricing and still be more than we get paid here. So that's one opportunity right there. And it's not just for us. If you're American, if you're European, if you're from Australia, if you're from Asia, now it's a good time to outsource with Brazil because we we need uh, this movement, technology. We need to work with software and stuff, but our market's not going to be good for at least 2 years. And so it's a good time for outsource with us because we're going to offer better prices. We're going to be more available because of this situation. So of course it's terrible because the crisis is affecting a lot of business going out of business. A lot of companies they're bankrupt, and even like big airline companies, this stuff. And a lot of people are going to lose jobs, already losing jobs. But the thing is, if you're an entrepreneur and you think about that as an opportunity, it's an opportunity for us and for everyone else in the world that want to outsource programming services or design services with Brazil or South America in general. We have a good time zone. We have similar culture. Let's say English is very like common in Brazil now in South America. So you can outsource things here, and you can get make from the crisis a good thing. That's what I think.
So, what I was hoping to sort of get an understanding from you was where you see the field of analytics and web insights going in the next few years. And in particular, are there any technologies or ideas that you are looking out for within Resultam?
Well, the thing is, analytics it's a pretty cool thing to work with. I was talking with a friend of mine. He's new to the field. He worked as a let's say a business manager, and then he started working with this digital marketing stuff. And we were talking about Facebook ads and Google ads. The thing is, the way these companies are putting the analytics and the data for the people and information that you have when you're managing a campaign. So the thing is, it's just like really actually playing a game. So you go there, you go to the Google Ads dashboard or your Facebook Ads dashboard, and you have all this information, and you can measure everything. So it's different because when I work at television, um, the people, the companies would pay for be on television, and we couldn't offer very good analytics from them because they're they were just weren't there. They had to create their advertisement and wait for the phone to ring or wait for people to go to their office. But with the internet, you have a lot of information, you have a lot of data to deal with, and you have a lot of analytics to deal with. And the thing is, it's becoming more and more easy to understand and to work with these things. And the thing is that the companies, the big companies like Facebook, Google, they don't want the clients to have a middleman. They don't want a marketing analyst. They don't want a marketing manager to do that work. They want to people, the small companies, to do that themselves. Like the owner goes there, create a Facebook ad, create a Google ad, and that's it. And that's amazing. And it's also like it's both an up. I think I see it's both an opportunity and also a risk. If you work with analytics, if you work with marketing management, of course, if you work in a big company, it's easy. But if you have a lot of small clients, it's a risk because if Facebook, if Google, they get really good with that, and they're really good already. But if they can make the client understand that they don't need a person to manage the company, the to manage the campaign, That's a big risk for the analytics. So what I'm working on Resultam now, it's we want to make the analytics something much more easier, and I think that might be a good product for market and also for even selling the company in the future for a big player. That's what I think now. The thing is, if you create content and you create revenue on that content, and if you create a campaign online, you want to see how it's performing, and you want to be easier to take decisions with that data. And so the thing about analytics now, what I want to do is, okay, they want to kill the middleman. So how the middleman is still relevant today. Let's say you invest $10,000 per month in Google and Facebook. All right, so they're not the same company. They will not agree in anything um, so soon. I mean, it's not going to be available a dashboard to manage both Facebook and Google Ads campaigns. All right, so that's one of the problems that I see on the market now. So what we're working on, it's to create a dashboard. It's not just a dashboard, but I will call it just a dashboard to manage both Facebook and Google. Let's say I know there are a lot of products that already do this, but we also want to offer the client not just the analytics and the data, and even like we have this project on AI that's going to take the decisions. So let's say it's cheaper to have people buying from your company from Facebook than Google. So you have $10,000, and 5,000 is in Google and 5,000 on Facebook. So our analytics algorithm sees that Facebook is much better for your company than Google. So it takes the investment and changes where it's going to be. So let's say the AI takes from the 5,000s, take 3,000 and put on Facebook. So you have now seven. You now have less investment on Google and more in Facebook, and that can change all the time. And that's what companies pay us to do as marketing analysts. So let's say um, we don't want to like replace the middleman with AI, but also we want to offer for the content creators, let's say the bloggers, the YouTubers, the website creators, the apps creators, and the companies that create websites, and create content for YouTube or for social media. They have one place to manage the content and to see the results of that content. Because it's amazing when you go to YouTube. YouTube, it's a perfect example of what we want to achieve. You post a video, so you post the video and you post the content, right? So you post the thumbnail, you post the metadata for that, and the description and everything. You put everything in there. And in the same dashboard, you have the analytics, and you have all the information about reach, about how people are coming for that video, how people are actually consuming your content, how much time they're spending watching the video. So you can take decisions on what kind of content you're going to offer for your audience. But that doesn't happen on other platforms like WordPress, like let's say even like, okay, you have analytics like in Instagram and Facebook, but you have to access so many dashboards. You have to access, okay, you want to see how your page is performing. So let's say your page has a YouTube video, it has a Google ads campaign, a Facebook ads campaign, an Instagram ads campaign. You have like 4 different kind of dashboards that you're going to visit just to know how that content is performing. So what Resultam, what's the actually like product that we're developing? It's a one place that you can create the page, you put it online, it's your website, your content, and you have all the information there. You can like even like, okay, you have a page that is not performing well, you want to increase your advertisement spending, or you want to change the campaign, you can do everything on this dashboard. And that's what we're working on. That's what we believe that's going to be the future of analytics. It's to have a place that you can actually manage all the ways that content gets consumed, and how the people really reach that content. And that's what we're working on. And analytics, it's going to be there for a long time, and it can't be replaced by AI. Okay, so when you think about anything that can be replaced by AI, it gets like kind of, actually that's one of the things that I think. And for me, when I think, okay, this is gonna be replaced by AI anyway, so why will I work in that? So the one thing that's never gonna be replaced by AI, it's content creation. That's going to be always created by humans. And even though AI will be able to create content in the future, it will only be able to create content from what we already created as humans. So I want to give people, to the people that create content, the tools for them to understand how that content is available, and how it's accessed, and how people interact with that. So that's the future of analytics for me. And the future of analytics, it's content creation. And that's one of the things that's been around for so long. And in my opinion, it hasn't evolved as much as I think it should. And we're trying to work with this and create this um, this product that will bring all these companies, all this information together, and we'll analyze that for you, and we'll help you make better decisions. Let's say uh, we can like put on full auto mode, so the AI takes all the decisions for you. Or you could just open your dashboard, and you see a notification saying like, okay, we detected that Facebook is performing well, you want to move a little bit of your investment for that platform, or you want to keep the way it is. Oh, we suggest that you raise your investment by X% because we see that this kind of content that you create, it's uh, having more clicks, and more people interested in. So that's the kind of insights, and the kind, it's the same that a person would do, like a marketing consultant, a marketing analytics person will do as a contractor. We want to do that as a product, as a service, as a software service, however you want to call it. But it's like a place where you get insights, an app, let's say an app or a web app, that you get insights, you manage your content, you get all the information there. So I think the future of analytics, it's content creation.
Thanks so much, Daniel, for just really thoroughly explaining, not only answering the question, but explaining where you're headed to as a company. That's quite fascinating. I want to actually read a question from Krish, just because he was having some connection issues. And I think inadvertently we'll wind up answering. So Krish is in India and Carlos is in Venezuela. But you might inadvertently wind up kind of answering Carlos's question as well. So Krish says, good point on outsourcing. How is Result AM seeing the business in current times where the world has been hit by COVID? The pandemic era has opened up opportunities to turn most businesses into digital businesses wherever possible. Though the businesses are getting affected, technology, I'm not doing a good job with your question, Krish. I'm so sorry. Businesses are getting affected, but technology first has become a necessity in pandemic times. So how do you see the digital market as of now and in the near future? E-commerce startups have been invested in recently. SMSEs are gaining in the digital grounds of e-commerce business model, especially in the CPG domain. And he did post his question if you want to go ahead and read it in the questions
Yeah,
and
yeah.
discussion channel.
I just saw it here. Well, Krish, the thing about there's one thing that's not really like at first I thought it was exciting. I thought it was really uh, actually people made me think like that, telling me like, "Oh, Daniel, all the opportunities for your company now, and they're gonna be out there because of the COVID pandemic, and people are gonna be more online and stuff." But what I see now, it's the thought that I always had. So if you have people that are used to buying stuff in stores, in physical store, brick and mortar stores, um, even though they're gonna buy online now, there may be probably won't be buying online when market reopens. And the same thing goes not only for the people, the behavior of the people, but also the behavior of the company. So many companies are used to selling on their stores. They are used to that. They have all the strategy and the business. It works uh, the way to sell on brick and mortar stores, to sell in person. So these companies are having a really hard time to turn digital because it's not their vision, it's not their values, not the same thing. And what I see is that a lot of companies and even like huge companies, I had a huge client that got in touch with me and we created a COVID-19 specific campaign for them. And I don't know if you guys had similar campaigns in your countries, but uh, here they create a lot of save the something kind of campaign. So uh, we we created one for it's called Support Your Salon, and it's actually with a guy from class 8 from boot camp. He get in touch with me and we created this strategy at selling vouchers for people that go to he only works with barber shops and this kind of stuff. So he's in the cosmetic industry. It's a company from Holland that has its subsidiary here in Brazil. So we created this support your salon campaign, and people would buy vouchers for use in the future in this salon, so they could um, the companies wouldn't like go out of business and with no revenue during the pandemic. And that was a good solution. That was something that really was an opportunity for us to work again with this person and create this product. It was really nice to work with it. And what I saw is that they had zero experience with selling online. I'm not kidding. It's not like just I'm not telling that they're not competent or not are not a good company. They're a very nice company. They're very successful. They're very um, competent on their field, but they were used to sell their stuff for the salons and not for the final customer. So it was crazy when I installed Google Analytics on the web app and they could see all the data. They were impressed because they never had an experience with Google Analytics. So let's say a company of more than 30 years of success, and it's a brand that it's known and everything, still didn't have any experience with internet. So lots of companies are like this, especially small businesses, small stores and smaller companies. They're not used to the online market. So the thing is it's not that easy to migrate. And the thing is, people that buy online, they're different from the people that buy on stores. And it of course a lot of new web users and web buyers are going to be available after the COVID, but I don't think it's not going to be a drastic change. I think most people that are used not buying online, they're still waiting for the stores to open up to buy like clothing and the things that they don't actually need now that they're on social isolation. And so what I see as the opportunities that the COVID-19 give us, they are big and they exist, but they're not that big as some people in the media or some friends can make us believe, because some behaviors they won't change, and some companies won't be able to replicate what they do in person online. So let's say, especially on the restaurant or uh, experience kind of business, it's going to be difficult for them to be online. And so many sectors won't benefit anything from the COVID, and some companies won't be able to migrate to online. They're just going to go out of business if they don't have a good financial management now. And I think is that a lot of companies are investing on e-commerce, but I had clients before the pandemic that they had like more than 20 years of business and big experience with fashion and with selling like clothing and or shoes and bags, this stuff. I had different clients in these fields, and they weren't aware that, for example, you had to know the weight of the products. They didn't have a way to, they didn't have a balance to put there and see how much that, how many pounds that product actually is weight. And that is important because you have to know for the website to calculate the shipping costs, and they didn't have that. That's the basics for us, and they, some of them didn't have an SKU. So it's crazy to see how some companies have, um, they're not mature enough to be online, and also there will be a lot of people that won't be new users because they won't change their behavior. So I think there is, of course, a lot of opportunities of on the e-commerce field, but it's not going to be a dramatic change because the smaller companies, they will have to understand and to learn. And maybe, I think, now what I think, this is just a personal opinion now, is that the pandemic will end. We're going to find a solution, a vaccine or something, and then all this investment in e-commerce, in web campaigns, gonna go to waste because they won't be able to survive online. Online, you have to have a good marketing strategy. You have to have good campaigns. You have to have a good customer service. You gotta ship fast. You gotta, if somebody complains about your product, you have to reply fast. You have to receive products that people didn't like. Here in Brazil, actually, we have a law that actually allows people uh, to get the product and take it back for the company if they don't like it for 7 days, 7 business days, for any reason. You don't have even to tell them why you didn't like the product. You just can give it back because it wasn't what you expected. And these are a lot of new challenges that the company will have, and maybe they won't be able to surpass all these challenges before the pandemic ends. So if I were to take a decision as a small business, and or if I was asked by a small business owner if they should make this transition, I would tell them that they should look with a lot of care and be careful, because maybe that money that they're gonna invest in e-commerce, it's better to use for saving the company until the pandemic ends than to invest in something that they won't be able to manage. So e-commerce is not easy. I used to work with e-commerce. My first job was as a designer in a e-commerce company, and it looks like it's easier than having a store, a physical store. But the thing is, it's in my opinion, it's much harder because you're so far away from the person. You don't have the opportunity to apologize or to have a good communication or have some person to go there and make the sale. Like they cannot uh, adapt if you have a very good website, a very good experience, selling experience. You're gonna have to change everything. You're gonna have to take pictures of the product. You have to measure the weight of the project of the product. You have to have a you have to talk with delivery companies. So there's a lot of challenges. What I would like actually tell to business owners now, if they don't sell online, they wanna sell online, go to a marketplace, go sell on Amazon, go sell on eBay, go sell anywhere else than creating your own stuff, because maybe that money that you're going to invest on an e-commerce website, it's going to be much more worthy for saving the company and putting your product on marketplaces and advertising online than investing on creating your own e-commerce. So I think that that's one of the things about e-commerce that the most companies won't adapt, even companies that are already big, and it's going to be difficult for big companies. Of course, they have bigger amounts of cash to invest and to try it out and to adapt themselves for this new reality. But for the majority of, especially small business, it's not going to be that big of opportunity. It's not going to be easy as well. So that's my vision about the COVID and the market in this time frame that we think. I think some of the behavior of the people will change, and that will create new opportunities. But now I don't think it's a good idea for all the business to create an e-commerce or to try to make their product available online. Maybe they have to find different ways to sell it, to deliver it, maybe work with uh, in their community or near their company, and not just trying to drastically change to an online business right away. It of course it depends on each case, but in generalizing a little bit, I think it's a real big challenge, and it's not for everyone. And I would advise to really look with caution, make all the effort to understand all the risk and the opportunities, and then take this kind of decision.
So thank you so much for all your time today, Daniel, and for explaining so much of your amazing journey and sharing your life lessons with us. Thanks everyone else who joined and participated, and Carlos for connecting us to Daniel. We really appreciate everyone's perspective and energy in today's discussion. Spencer and I feel fortunate to be part of this community. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day or a great evening ahead.
Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Daniel.
Well, I thank you guys for the opportunity to share my knowledge and my experience, and I'm really glad that this community exists. I didn't know. Thanks, Carlos, for letting me know. It's really nice to be here, and I'm really appreciate for all the participation and everybody that was here. And if you guys want to get in touch, just let me know. Just chat with me here in Discord or anywhere else. It's gonna be a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Have a good day, everyone.
This has been Nancy and Spencer on Founders Voyage Weekly Podcast. Our speaker each week can be reached through our Discord server. Our intro and outro music is from the song Something for Nothing by Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. We'll be back again next week for another episode. Until then, have a great day and continue your voyage.